that it's really highly important to have a united approach for preparing or for dealing with or preparing with our financial standards. So if we have international financial reporting standards for nonprofit organizations, this will save our effort, considering that when we report to different stakeholders with different templates, different formats, different requirements, which it might be contradict. On the other hand, if we have united approach, so we have followed the same methodology by reporting for everyone if it has been adapted. And when we, for example, read these financial statements for each organization all over the world where it's adapted, so this will enable us to have equal treatment and being able to interpret these financial statements and judge the financial position of these NGOs. So it's extremely important to have such a united approach. And for example, when we are being audited from our auditors, so they will be based on this base, we are going to be treated, and we are not going to face problems or contradictions related to interpretation for the practices from donor perspective, or if there are contradictions between the local governmental or regulatory requirements and the donor requirements, or the interpretation between the nonprofit organizations, the funders, or even the auditors, which might put always the nonprofit organization in a difficult place. We believe in our group, so as there is a real need for having such international financial reporting standards for nonprofit organization, as similar to what's happening on the for-profit organizations, there will be adaptation for such international financial reporting standards, and we could deduct that by comparing with the international financial reporting standards for-profit, where the majority of the local authorities or governments adapted that. And when we have international standards, at least the local standards will be built based on these international standards. But always there will be like a base or background for those who prepare the local legislations to go and build based on it if there is international standards. And we agree, all of us in the group, that in case there are such a standards, we are going to adapt it in our practices. But apart from the process of the adaptation, whether it will take long time or less time, but we are going to adapt it as there will be fair treatment for us against different stakeholders we are reporting for them. And considering our ability, and the most important issue that there will be always somewhere an entity we could go back for it and get interpretation if there is an issue, emerging issue, we do not have any knowledge about that, or it's not included, or there is no clear interpretation for that. And we could build for us as non-profit organizations, when we argue our auditors or donors or any stakeholder, that we are building based on international standards reviewed and prepared on the international level. Over from my side.
Great, thank you very much, Mehmet. That's really good feedback that you provided there, and some food for thought. And you know, it plays back to what Sam was saying at the beginning about a level playing field, and everybody having the same and the real benefits that can come from that. So thank you very much for that feedback. Really great. And then finally, Fanny, if you could introduce your question, please.
Okay, thank you, Karen. So we worked on the following question. What would help you adopt the guidance model or make it more difficult? Is there anything specific about the NPO context in your jurisdiction? What changes could be made to the proposed guidance model to reflect this? We had a group, a lot of people from Turkey, but with experience in Turkey, Iraq, and Syria. And Abnor has accepted, or Anor, sorry, has accepted to give feedback for our group.
Thank you. Hi, Anor.
Hi, thank you so much. For the proposed guidelines model for international framework we try to summarize about the needs and what is infrastructure that we need and how it will help to adopt these guidelines and the guidance for this model. I will talk about the transparency. I will talk about the comparability. I will talk about the common. We're supposed to have the common between all our financial report in order to provide good quality report to the country, to the donor, to our organization. And would this help to adopt guidelines, the needs for the organization to make these changes? It will push us to adopt and to apply this model. The request from the donor also, it will push us in order to adopt and to use these guidelines and to apply in our organization. And also there is a many variety of local, the host community, it will push us to adopt and to use these guidelines for international framework. Looking to the difficulties, what is making difficulties? There is many challenges that we are facing in order to use these guidelines. One of it, as we discussed, is the high turnover of the staff. Some staff, they are high skills, learning and gaining, collecting this information and use this information. After that, they will leave the work. We lose the resources and we lose the information. Also, there is a variety requirement of the donor. All the donors, they are not accept to use this harmonized international framework. And the risk of the losing information. Some information, some donors, they have specific information. It will be difficult for them to make the changes. The accounting system, we are using accounting system for the number of the years. If we are moved and there is any contradiction between those accounting system and the framework and the guidelines that we are used, it will be resisted by the board of directors. Also, the country rule and regulation, sometimes it will be contradicted with the framework for international. The other things is there any specific about the non-profit organization? Yes, we have some information. It will be difficult to share with all staff. In the framework, reporting framework, we have to share those information. As I mentioned, the transparency that we need. But unfortunately, for example, the salary, it is not open for all the staff. What changes that it will make, and what changes we need to make in the international framework? The training. It is very important to focus on the training before we share it with, and to make it as a mandatory. The other things is the changing of accounting system. It will be high cost. Looking to the fundraising, looking to the budget proposal, looking to the budget implementation and budget revision, looking to the compliance and audit, all this, it need to be considered during enforce the guidelines to be implemented. Thank you so much. Over.
Thank you very much, Anur. And I think what you've said there kind of goes to why it's so important that we hear and are engaged with all parts of what I call the NPO community, all of those people that are involved in NPOs in some description, whether they be auditors, regulators, donors, preparers. You know, to make this successful, we need to try and take everybody with us. Thank you so much for the feedback on that session. And that was really great to hear that. I'm just going to hand back over to Sam now, having kind of concluded all of the chapters in part 1. We're just going to talk about how you can then respond. Sam, can I hand over to you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Karen. That's been really interesting to hear all your discussions. So as I said at the beginning, all this conversation we've had is fantastic for us to get a sense of the regional realities on the ground, but it doesn't constitute a formal consultation. So really, really would love you to be ready to respond and formally submit, because that's what will really feed into the development of the guidance and make sure your perspectives are captured and considered. So if you go to the website, www.ifr4npo.org, all the information about how to respond is there. I'll put a link in the chat, and when we send the follow-up email, there'll also be a link for you to click. So we've tried to make it easier. They're easy to do. There are 3 ways that you can respond. So if your organization, say you're an accounting body or something like that, and you already have a process for submitting comments on accounting standards, then you can submit a comment letter in the normal way via the website. There's an upload button, you can submit it there. If you'd like to submit a response as an organization, as a non-profit or a donor or as an organization, if you'd like to collaborate with others in a sort of working group, or if you'd like to work offline, then, then we have a great option. Option 2 is to download a